and advertisers.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Monday, pushing the limits. So glad that all of you could be here. Hope everybody had a great weekend out there. Obviously, there's a lot to talk about today, and there's a lot to go over, including what is going on in the Middle East. Donald Trump claiming the war is over. Yes, I have a lot to say about that. George Stephanopoulos did a great job in combating the lies from J.D. Vance. We will certainly be getting into that. Sean Duffy making some absurd statements on a lot of different topics. We're certainly going to be getting into that today. And of course, much, much more. I want to talk about Israel. Certainly talk about my trip to DC this weekend, where we'll be giving away more tickets to catch yours truly and Tim Pool and Myron Gaines and that whole group that I'll be debating. That should be very interesting. But, I want to get down to what's going on in the Middle East. And of course, the government shutdown far from over, and to kind of give us the rundown on what has taken place over the weekend. One of the hardest working men in the business. It's always a pleasure. Always love having Ron Filipkowski, the editor-in-chief of Midas Touch, joining us on the show on a Monday. Ron, it is good to see you. I hope you have a great weekend. How are you?
Good. It's getting cold here in Maine. Winter's coming.
I don't want to get you jealous, but it's like 75 degrees in Las Vegas every day now. I'm just saying, Ron, across the country, some pretty good weather out here. Donald Trump would be playing golf every day. Anyway, I appreciate you being here, Ron. Let's start with what's going on in the Middle East. Obviously, you would agree with me. Anytime you have people who are held captive that are innocent people, it's a good thing. It's a great thing, right? That these hostages have been, gone back to their families and are getting medical attention. That's a great thing. But Donald Trump saying the war is over is not the case. Correct me if I'm wrong. Benjamin Netanyahu has not made that statement. Hamas still is in power in large portions of Gaza. What do you say about that?
Yeah. I mean, first of all, let me just say, the news coverage is ridiculous. I mean, it's just over the top. You go on social media sites, you go on news sites, all the news is about that. There are other things going on in the United States. I mean, I'm not trying to minimize this, but
you're right.
Let's see if this is a truly historic moment 6 months from now.
Right.
As with all things Trump, there's with everything with Trump, there's this big announcement, lots of hype, lots of promises. And then we dig into the details days later, and it never exactly turns out to live up to the hype. I mean, this has been the case with him always on everything. So the hostages are returned. That's great. But what we know is that happened after a face-to-face meeting between Steve Witkoff and Hamas. And this is giving me Taliban vibes all over again. When we know that Trump gave away the farm to the Taliban and set up what turned out to be a pretty difficult withdrawal from Afghanistan as a result of Trump freeing thousands of Taliban fighters prior to us trying to withdraw as part of his deal. So my question is, what did Witkoff promise Hamas to get them to suddenly make this huge concession of releasing these hostages, which is their major leverage with Israel? We don't know. Nobody knows. The only people who know are people inside the Trump administration, probably Netanyahu and Hamas and Qatar, their sponsors. We're also seeing how chummy and friendly he is to Qatar. Why is that? I mean, they're the major sponsors of Hamas. Hamas is a terrorist organization that Trump has been trashing. Now, all of a sudden, we're going into business with them. Trump is promising that the U.S. is going to send in peacekeepers. We're going to help rebuild Gaza. I mean, the key to his 20-point plan, which many experts in the Middle East are saying is a lot of wishful thinking, is economic development of Gaza. Where are the devils in the so if he plans on having Kushner or somebody else with his business organization or Witkoff's cronies go in there and start building hotels in Gaza, is Hamas going to allow that kind of a thing? So what I would say is And we know that Netanyahu is not happy with this deal. Apparently, all the reporting is that this was forced upon him. So most likely what's going to happen is Israel's now going to hold elections. Netanyahu is going to get voted out of office. Trump mentioned in his speech today that the Israel president should pardon Netanyahu. I mean, that may be part of this deal too. Who knows? Everybody's getting something here, and we don't know exactly what it is, but it all looks very shady. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got some hostages home. We also had, 24 people shot in a bar in South Carolina on Saturday.
Right.
Nobody cares about that while we're running a 24-hour news cycle on hostages being freed in Gaza. So yeah, that's what I would say. Hey, wait 6 months. I know one thing in my bulletin today, it's going to be exclusively news about the United States only, as it always is. And I think maybe people at the end of the day today are going to want to read something about the United States, since the only news that's being reported by American media today is about Israel.
I couldn't agree with you more. And speaking of the United States, Ron, as you know, Donald Trump has a deal with Qatar, and we have a military base now. Donald Trump, years back, I think it was 2017, said that this is a group of people that harbor terrorists. And now all of a sudden there are pilots that are going to be flying over U.S. soil, and they're going to have their own military base here. How could anybody be okay with this?
Yeah, well, they gave him a jet, obviously for free, that he gets to keep after leaving the White House. They are building a $5.5 billion Trump golf resort in Qatar. They have invested heavily in his golf resort being constructed in Saudi. They have invested in his golf resort in Oman, which is also currently being built. UAE, who he thought he met the guy from UAE today, and he thought it was UAE's like president or whatever they call him, prime minister, head of their government.
Yeah,
it was just an emissary. It was just a diplomat. But he was like shaking his hand. You got more money than anybody in the world. So much cash. He's talking to like a diplomat. But UAE, who has had bought $2 billion worth of Trump crypto. So Trump's got deals going on all over the place that benefit himself over there. And unfortunately, that seems to be dictating U.S. policy. So the because of Trump's business deals that he has going on with all these different entities in the Middle East, the United States government is now getting heavily involved in a lot of these countries, providing even Article 5 security guarantees, NATO equivalent security guarantees to Qatar, which is insane. And I think underneath the euphoria that Israel has about getting their hostages back has to be a lot of concern about the United States government getting in bed with a lot of these Arab governments.
I agree with you. And again, back in 2017, Donald Trump called these people who help fund terrorists. And he was right. In this case, Hamas. And I guess, MAGA, they certainly don't want to talk about that. Ron, changing the subject a little bit here. I'm sure you saw the interview George Stephanopoulos did with J.D. Vance. And as you pointed out correctly, it's a question that MAGA and anybody in Donald Trump's administration refuses to answer, which is, did Tom Homan take a $50,000 cash bribe in a duffel bag? And J.D. Vance doesn't answer the question. By the way, I thought George did a really good job at the end of that interview.
He did.
What do you make of this, Ron? I mean, nobody will answer that direct question.
So George did a UK style interview, and journalism in the UK is very different than journalism in the United States. The way it works, if politician sits down for an interview in the UK, is that you don't move on to the next question until they answer the first one. And American journalism doesn't do that. They come in, especially Kristen Welker with Meet the Press. She's the worst. They have their list of scripted questions.
Yep.
And they're determined to get through their list. And so if a politician refuses to answer the first question, the second question, they just keep moving on to the next question because they know they can get away with it. But British politicians know that they can't, because in Britain, if you don't answer the question, they won't stop. They'll just say, I'm sorry, that's not what I asked you. Yes or no. And they won't go to the next question if you refuse to answer the first one.
Right.
And that's what Stephanopoulos did there.
Yep.
He just kept asking the question over and over again until the feed was cut. Now, I don't know who cut the feed, but it appears that it was cut on Vance's end. Who knows? I mean, they'll probably both deny that they did it, but he just kept asking the question over and over again. It's a simple question. Vance wants to deflect. Holman's doing important work. Democrats, you want to smear him. The libs, he's a patriot. Okay. All that he took the money before he took office. Look, I posted a clip the other day. Tom Homan was saying, the clip I posted was from January 2022, where Homan said, when Trump wins, I am going in there as his ICE director. I am going to be his deportation czar. He was saying that over and over again since 2022. He took this money in 2024. So his defense is, well, I wasn't in government then, so it wasn't a bribe.
Right.
When he was telling people for 3 years he was going to be the head of ICE, right? So I mean, he's advertising himself to people. So then he got 50 grand in cash. So the simple question is this: what happened to the money? Because this was taxpayer money. This was money that came from the FBI that was used by an undercover FBI agent to give to Holman. So where's the money? It's taxpayer money. My question is, did he deposit it in his bank account and pay taxes on it? Because if not, then we got tax fraud. And my guess is he did not deposit that in his bank account. So what happened to the money? That's the question. No one will answer that question. Holman won't, Caroline Leavitt won't, Trump won't, and now we just tried with Vance and he won't.
And the argument, right, we hear from the right is, well, he didn't break the law. It was investigated. But this was Donald Trump's DOJ, and all of a sudden this investigation went away. And then you have Pam Bondi ask the question over and over again, okay, will you release the video so that the American people can see it? And they have no interest in doing so, right?
Yeah, the guy wanted a government contract for a deal with ICE. He knew that Holman was going in there as Trump's ICE guy. The DOJ's whole rationale for dropping the case was, well, he wasn't the ICE guy yet. Therefore, this guy gave him the 50 grand because he was a businessman, right, doing business. His business was getting money from people so that ICE could reward them with government contracts in the future. He peddled himself that way for 3 years. I documented it. I put up post after post after post about Tom Homan in 2022, 2023, that he was out there saying all this stuff about what he was going to do when Trump won. Nobody cared. Nobody paid any attention to my post. They got almost no engagement. But here we are. What he said he was going to do, he is now doing, and everybody's freaking out. And I'm like, hey, the guy was saying what he was going to do for 3 years.
That's true. That's very true. And I find it interesting. They still talk about Hunter Biden selling paintings, but when it comes to Tom Homan, they don't want to talk about the fact he accepted a $50,000 bribe. It's absolutely insane.
I criticize Hunter Biden a lot about the paintings. I thought it was bullshit, but it's nothing compared to what these guys are doing on an industrial scale.
Yep. Completely agree with you, Ron. Ron Filipkowski joining us, the editor-in-chief of Midas Touch. So, Ron, you have a lot of people in Donald Trump's administration, including Sean Duffy, who are talking about these No Kings protests. A lot of these people, the overwhelming amount of these people, just using their First Amendment rights. And they're talking about these people and basically calling them terrorists. I'm going to be out there in Washington, D.C. on December 18th. I'm not going to be committing any violent acts. I'm not getting paid by anybody. What do you make of these people like the Sean Duffys in the Trump administration, who J.D. Vance once characterized as these old hippies, right? And now all of a sudden they're all terrorists. What do you make of this?
Yeah, it's been really, really interesting to watch the court. Everything the Republicans do from a messaging standpoint is very scripted, very coordinated. They all get their talking points. They all repeat them constantly over and over again. And, the first No Kings protest, they ignored. There was two big ones, right? First one they ignored because I think they thought it was just going to be like nothing. And that was during Doge. That was like April, right? And a lot of people showed up. A lot of people. And so their reaction to it was, oh, it's a bunch of boomers. It's a bunch of boomer grandmothers, a bunch of old white people. Who cares? Then the next one happened, which was in, what was it, July, August? Yeah. And it was even bigger. And so they can't sort of, use that same messaging anymore. So I think what they're getting concerned about is this next one, which was scheduled a long time ago. It wasn't scheduled to coincide with a government shutdown, but that's the new Republican conspiracy, that this was all a plan to schedule this rally, then hold a shutdown before the rally date, so that the rally would become about the shutdown and, all of that. It's a coordinated move by Democrats. I wish Democrats were that smart. I wish they were that diabolical and they could plan things out like that, but they aren't. This really happened organically. So they know that this is going to be a massive, well-attended rally all across the United States. It is going to step on their messaging for the shutdown. And it's probably going to drive their polls even lower on the shutdown. And so what do they do to deal with it? They're claiming now that it's Antifa, that they're all terrorists, that Soros is financing it, paid protesters are financing it. I mean, it's just so ridiculous when you have such an organic movement. Sure, there's Indivisible is the main organization that organized it, and others, ACLU, many other liberal groups have been involved in helping fund it, but nobody's getting paid. They're helping, even the signs, they're all homemade signs. There's nothing like sophisticated or coordinated about this at all. And it's very organic. You drive around. I mean, I drive around Maine during the last one, and there were just groups of people all over the place on the side of the road, on bridges. It's not Antifa, man.
Yeah. And then again, what does Antifa mean? Anti-fascism, right? I mean, I think most of us are anti-fascist. And again, they keep talking about how this is this dangerous organization. Yet in Portland, we see these chicken outfits and we see these frog outfits, and then they're threatening my life. These right wingers out there, like the Nick Sortos of the world. It really is insane. Speaking of insane, Ron, let's have a little fun here. Let's talk a little bit about this Turning Point USA halftime Super Bowl show. With a bunch of right-wingers, all white, by the way, who will be performing, who at one point or another, almost all of them have said something anti-Semitic or racist in the last year. What do you make of this? Why is Turning Point doing this? It's obviously going to cost them a lot of money. I would say there'd be less than 1% of the people that are actually going to be watching the Super Bowl that are going to be watching this. What do you make of this?
Well, what I make of it is that the guys at Turning Point are trying to figure out what to do next. It's sort of like, for me, like, it's sort of like when they tried to keep the Rush Limbaugh show going after Rush Limbaugh died with like Bo Snerdley and then Bongino moved in that time slot. I mean, it's just like some people are unique. They have unique talents and abilities. And I will give it up to Charlie that he had that talent. He had that ability. And it can't, those kind of people can't be duplicated or replicated. Mm-hmm. So the problem for Turning Point USA is they're trying to like continue on as like nothing happened almost without Charlie. And Charlie is Turning Point. I mean, and the rest of the guys that run that organization, and I'm including his wife here, they don't have it. And I've been watching what they've been doing, and everything they've been doing is like Charlie Kirk tribute stuff. That's all they talk about. That's all they do. So I think what they're trying to do is figure out what is our next act without Charlie? Like what can we do to get noticed, to get attention like Charlie got? Even though they're all boring. The guy's trying to do his radio show is boring. Yep. He brings nothing to the table. He was just a Charlie's sidekick. And it's like Ed McMahon trying to do, the Tonight Show by himself. It doesn't work. And so they come up with this Super Bowl idea. Oh, we're going to counter program the Super Bowl halftime show that, I don't know, 100 million people are watching. Bad Bunny, who's like the most streamed artist one of the most streamed artists in the world right now, but maybe they don't like him because he's Puerto Rican and he speaks Spanish and he's a rapper. I don't know. But they claim that they have all these amazing acts lined up. And that everyone is that the Super Bowl halftime show, this is what they're saying, is going to be so low rated because everybody's going to be watching their patriotic halftime show, right? They're going to leave the Super Bowl to go watch the Turning Point. What is it going to be streamed? It's going to be streamed online somewhere. What is it going to be? Who's it going to be? Kid Rock, Jason Aldean?
Yeah.
Who are the performers that they're going to get that are going to cause 50 million people to leave the Super Bowl and go online to watch?
Ron, I don't know. Are you telling me 100 million people don't want to see Lee Greenwood? What are you trying to say here?
Lee Greenwood could make a cameo. I mean, you're trying to think of like who are the MAGA, artists, musicians that they have available.
Travis Tritt.
The choices are very limited for Gagio Blow. I mean,
that guy's a joke. Oh my God.
Hogan died. They could have had him.
Yeah.
Their choices of artists are they're not. They don't
Ted
have
Nugent. We're missing Ted Nugent. That's another one.
Oh yeah, Ted is. Ted always has that thing where he plays the national anthem on his guitar, so he can possibly do that.
What a joke! What an absolute joke! Speaking of jokes, Ron, before I get to your Substack, which is not a joke, you have one of the best in the business. I need some advice from you. I'm going to be on a stage in Washington, D.C. this weekend with none other than Tim Pool, Myron Gaines, and Alex Stein. What advice would you give me?
Okay, well, Tim Pool, as I said, Tim Pool's a lightweight. Tim Pool is not exactly the brightest bulb. Everything Tim Pool does is for effect and for clicks, and it's all like contrived bullshit. Like, Civil War, that's his favorite thing to tweet. He tweets Civil War like once a week. Like he's like that guy is going to lead the Civil War, right? For the resistance. I mean, everything he does is just he has no substance. And then Alex Stein is a lunatic. I mean, just a maniac who will probably try and wreck it. If I know Alex, he will probably do everything he can to ruin the whole thing with some kind of stunt or just start screaming and yelling or singing or jumping up and down. He will do something to try and make the whole thing turn into a clown show. And then Myron Gaines will probably just be yelling at you the whole time. So yeah, you're gonna have a really difficult time getting words in. Who's the moderator for this?
I don't even know if there is a moderator. If there is one, I would imagine it's Tim Pool's gig. So
yeah, you're going to have a hard time like being able to talk.
So you're saying it's going to be worse than Piers Morgan?
Oh yeah. It's definitely going to be worse than Piers Morgan.
Oh Jesus!
I don't really, unless you had like somebody there who's like a really good gatekeeper, to moderate. Yeah. That's going to be a complete shit show. But you'll do well. You're one of the few who could probably handle that situation.
I appreciate that. I don't know if I'll be able to handle this one, but I'll do my best. I appreciate that advice. So Ron, what do you got going on your Substack today?
Well, that's how I'm advertising this one is, it's just all news about the United States. I'm the America First. I am the America First. Me and Marjorie Taylor Greene are the only America First people left in America. Our alliance of unholy and Thomas Massey, right? So everything in my column is going to be about the United States. Not that I don't care about the Israel Gaza thing, but the thing is, like, if you could go through social media and the whole thing is Israel Gaza, like 99%, I can't. It is so difficult today to find non-Israel news in the United States. Very difficult. But I will say this. I have worked extremely hard all morning to mine those tiny nuggets of news in amongst the Israel stuff. And it was hard to put it all together and find it. I had to work extra hard to find stuff today, but I did. And I'm determined to make a full column that has nothing about Israel in it.
That's what separates you from everybody else, Ron. I appreciate that. And you're right, by the way. Ron Filipowski from Midas Touch, everybody. Ron, I appreciate you and your advice, by the way. I'll let you know how that goes this weekend. Yes, thanks, Ron. I appreciate you, my man, and we'll talk to you soon.
You might need some medication. Like
that's true.
Bring some Xanax or something.
I'll bring some of that, maybe some Valium or something. I'll give you an update in DC. Ron, I love you, man. Thanks for coming on.
All right. See you.
Appreciate it. That's Ron Filipowski, everybody from Midas Touch. As I say, every single time he comes on this show, he's one of the best in the business. The guy is so smart. He's so good at what he does. So a couple things real quickly. before I get to our title sponsor here. So as I mentioned to you all, I'm going to be doing the Culture War podcast, Tim Pool's podcast with Alex Stein, live in DC in front of a live audience. There's going to be a few others there, Myron Gaines and some other surprises. I will be the only anti-Trumper up there on that stage. So that might be challenging. However, we've already given away some tickets last week from fans of the show that are going to be there. So here's what I'm going to do right now. I ask you all this, though. We're going on the honor system here. Yes, the third caller will be winning tickets. We need your name and your email. However, don't accept the tickets unless you're positive you're going to be able to go. This is in person. It's going to be in Washington, D.C., and it's going to be at the Comedy Loft right there in D.C., and it's going to be this Saturday afternoon. The doors open at 2. The show starts at 3. Okay, it's 3 to 5. I don't want you calling in trying to win tickets if you're not going to be there. Okay, so there's no excuses. It's this Saturday, okay, in Washington, D.C. You'll be able to meet me. I'll be there, and all these other cast of characters on the right, Tim Pool, Myron Gaines, Alex Stein. We're going to be debating it out and duking it out. So if you're the third caller right now and you will be in Washington, D.C. this weekend, or you plan to be there this weekend and you can go to the show, I want you to call in. I don't want you to call in if you don't plan on being there. So third caller right now at 702-221-7283. And again, the third caller right now is 702-221-7283 is going to win a pair of tickets to meet me, yours truly, debate Tim Pool, Myron Gaines, and Alex Stein live in Washington, D.C. It's called the Culture War podcast, and it's going to be live in front of a live audience at the D.C. Comedy Loft. Third caller right now is going to win a pair of tickets, 702-221-7283. Folks, don't forget, I have not forgotten about this government shutdown. I never forget about my listeners and so many of you that are going to losing your health care coverage. And that's why I talk about it every day. And that's why I'm so lucky to be partnered up with my trusted partner, Chapter, for free and unbiased Medicare help. You see the number there on the bottom of your screen. It's free. Here's what they will do. On average, they save people around $1,100 a year on their healthcare coverage. And as we know, Medicare annual enrollment is starting on the 15th through December 7th. Now is the time to give them a call. So Chapter reviews every plan nationwide to make sure you're on the best one. And by the way, they're the only ones that do this, by the way. And as I said, they save people up to $1,100 on average a year. They review your options in under 20 minutes, and it's free. So you have nothing to lose. I wouldn't be partnering up with these guys if I didn't think it'd be very beneficial for my listening audience. So do me a favor. You see on the bottom of the screen there, I highly recommend you call up. And if there's a wait, you leave your number and they'll call you back. If you want to just check it out online, you'll see the link there on the bottom of the screen where it says askchapter.org/limits. That's the URL that you can use if you just want to check it out and give them your information. It's free. You've got nothing to lose. So check them out. The number 212-461-4078 to speak with my trusted partner, Chapter. Or as I mentioned, you can also go to askchapter.org/limits. It's completely free, and I'm so excited to be teamed up with these guys to help my listeners out there. All right, everybody. We are going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we are going to be discussing what has taken place over the weekend, of course. I'll give you my opinions on why I don't believe Donald Trump should receive any credit for these hostages that were brought home, these Israeli hostages. I'll explain to you why. I'm not just going to say it. I'm going to give you reasons why I don't think Donald Trump should get any credit for it. And Donald Trump is lying about this whole situation. I'll explain why there as well. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back on the other side. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. We'll take a quick break. We'll be back right after this. You're listening to Pushing the Limits right here on KSHP. right, welcome back. It is Pushing the Limits on a Monday. Thank you so much for joining us. Also, a thank you to our YouTube Super Chat to Norman with a generous donation. It says, your show is fire. Well, thank you. I appreciate that, Norman, and thank you for your support. Any of your questions and comments will be read live on the air in the YouTube Super Chat. You could also go to my website, which is pushingthelimits.live. All right, so before I play clips, I want to be very clear on my feelings on Israel as a whole. First of all, let me be very clear and say that anytime you have hostages that are innocent human beings, in this case, Israelis who are taken a hostage by a horrible group called Hamas, and they're able to be reunited with their families, and I would imagine they've been in hell the last 2 years. I can't even imagine what they've gone through. That's a wonderful thing. Now, who you give credit, who you don't give credit to, I understand that Donald Trump is the president of the United States. But here's my problem giving Donald Trump credit. Number one, we have no idea how involved he was. We don't know. Number two, if you remember when Whelan and 3 other Americans were sent back home to America under Joe Biden, and he put that negotiation together, and these 3 Americans were freed, it was Donald Trump who not only was not giving Joe Biden credit, but was actually taking credit. It was Joe Biden back in October of 2023 that helped release Judith and Natalie Renan, 2 Israeli-American women. Donald Trump didn't praise Joe Biden. MAGA wasn't praising Joe Biden. Back in January of 2025, a ceasefire deal was brokered under the Biden administration. That led to the release of more Israeli hostages held in Gaza. Did Donald Trump give Joe Biden credit? Did the MAGA cult give Joe Biden credit? Of course, the answer is no. In fact, Donald Trump continued to take credit for what Joe Biden was able to accomplish. Back in September of 2023, the Biden administration secured the release of 5 U.S. citizens from Iran in exchange for releasing frozen uranium oil funds for humanitarian purposes. Did Donald Trump or MAGA give Joe Biden any credit for that? Or WNBA player Brittany Griner, who returned to the United States? The answer is no. So that is why I say I don't believe Donald Trump deserves any credit for this. Now, on the other side of things, I will also say that Donald Trump has been lying to the American people over the course of the last 24 to 48 hours, saying that the war is, quote, over. Benjamin Netanyahu has not said the war is over. Why? Because it's not. Why? Because Hamas still is in power in large portions of Gaza, and they still have their weaponry. Now, if Donald Trump had made some sort of deal with Hamas where they have to give up all their weapons and they're no longer in power in any parts of Gaza, then I would say, well, yeah, Mr. President, you're right. That's a great thing. The war is over. It's not. Hamas isn't saying the war is over. Benjamin Netanyahu and no Israeli official or government official has said the war is over, and Donald Trump is lying. Just like he says he's ended 8 wars, that's also a lie. He certainly hasn't ended this one. He certainly hasn't ended the war in Ukraine. Those are all lies. And why is Donald Trump lying? Because he wants to make himself look like the hero that he is, even though he's a draft-dodging coward. That is the truth. And I know there's a lot of MAGA people out there that don't want the truth. They can't spell the word fact. The war is not over. And every single time Joe Biden made a deal to bring American citizens home or to release people, and he was able to do that multiple times, not only did Donald Trump not give Joe Biden credit, but there were occasions where Donald Trump took credit for the work that Joe Biden did. So I'm not going to give Donald Trump any credit at all. Quite frankly, he doesn't deserve it, and he's lying to the world, saying that this war is over. It's a war that's been going on for a very long time, and Hamas still is in control of large portions of Gaza. They haven't given up any of their weaponry. That means the war is still going on. This is a ceasefire, and this is just like the last ceasefire that was broken by Israel within 24 hours. It's only been a day. Let's give it a little bit of time. Let's give it 6 months, and let's see if both abide by this ceasefire before we give Donald Trump, the orange turd, any credit for anything other than lying to the world and saying the war is over, which, by the way, it's not. Now, here's Donald Trump again, a little forgetful, because he's criticizing Barack Obama. He's criticizing Joe Biden for what's transpired here in the Middle East. But we forget that in the middle of that, there was a president by the name of Donald J. Trump. I think he forgot about that. Have a listen to this.
A year ago, the United States of America was a dead country. Now it's the hottest country anywhere in the world. It is the hottest. There's no question about it. In fact, if you go back a year ago, before the election, although once we had November 5th, we became hot because people got it. I would say November 5th was a time that we became really hot. But once you go back a couple of years, if I were in charge and the country was doing what they were, nobody was going to ask me to speak. Nobody asked Joe Biden to come up and speak, I guarantee you that. And if they did, he would have turned them down, I promise you. He didn't speak. He didn't speak, and he didn't speak well. But all of the countries in the Middle East, it could have, what we're doing now, it could have happened a long time ago, but it was strangled and set back almost irretrievably by the administrations of Barack Obama and then Joe Biden. It was, there was a hatred toward Israel. There was an absolute hatred. The setbacks really started when President Obama signed the Iran nuclear deal. This was a disaster for Israel, and it was a disaster for everyone. And I remember that Bibi Netanyahu came to the United States and worked so hard to try and get Obama not to do that deal. He worked so hard.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Who was the president in between Barack Obama and Joe Biden? Last time I checked, that was Donald J. Trump. What did he do to solve any of these issues? So on one hand, he's complaining about Barack Obama and foreign policy. He's complaining about Joe Biden. He was the president in between the two. What the hell did he do in those 4 years? Nothing. Except release 5,000 Taliban terrorists. He did do that. Let's forget about that, though, right? Here's a perfect example of an American president and what they shouldn't do. Donald Trump in real time now, meddling in the judicial affairs of other nations by claiming that Benjamin Netanyahu deserves a pardon. Have a listen to this.
A good man right here. These two men are good men right here. Hey, I have an idea. Mr. President, why don't you give him a pardon? Give him a pardon. Come on. By the way, that was not in the speech, as you probably know. But I happen to like this gentleman right over here, and it just seems to make so much sense. You know, whether we like it or not, this has been one of the greatest wartime presidents. This has been one of the greatest wartime presidents. And cigars and champagne, who the hell cares about that? All right, enough controversy for the day, right? It's not, actually, I don't think it's very controversial. So, you know, I mean, I see so popular. You are a very popular man. You know why? Because you know how to win.
He's so popular that most Israelis can't stand him, and he has no chance of winning re-election. That's how popular he is. And by the way, who are all these morons that are clapping, by the way? The President of the United States trying to meddle in judicial affairs of other nations. It's despicable and it's disgusting. And if Joe Biden was doing that, or any other president with a D next to their name, MAGA would be having a meltdown. But it's totally okay for Donald Trump to be doing it. It's so despicable and ridiculous. It's unbelievable. And by the way, it was Benjamin Netanyahu, and it was the Israeli government, by the way, that gave us the intelligence under George W. Bush that there were weapons of mass destruction. It was Benjamin Netanyahu that told us, and Donald Trump took every word that was stated by Benjamin Netanyahu, that somehow Iran was furthering their nuclear capabilities, when we know that that wasn't the case. But those idiots in that crowd want to clap. If Donald Trump started praising Kim Jong-un or Vladimir Putin, these same morons would be standing up and clapping. Doesn't matter what Donald Trump says. It doesn't matter what he does. He can praise an evil dictator and they would still get up and give him a standing ovation. That's what we call Trump derangement syndrome, ladies and gentlemen. But I will give Donald Trump credit for this. He did say something over the weekend that I do agree with him on. You have to give credit where credit is due. Now, I've said this on the show before, and I'll say it again. I hope Donald Trump burns in hell one day, because I think he's a horrible human being. I don't think there's any chance that Donald Trump sees heaven. Now, this is where myself and Donald Trump actually are in agreement. It happens once in a while. It happened with Marjorie Taylor Greene last week. It happened with Nick Fuentes last week. Once in a while, a squirrel can grab a nut and find a nut now and then. So Donald Trump is being asked by Peter Ducey, as I like to call him, from Fox News, who asks the dumbest questions in the world, by the way. He's asked if he thinks Donald Trump will be going to heaven anytime soon. Have a listen to this exchange. And I have to say, ladies and gentlemen, it's one of the few times I actually do agree with Donald Trump. It does happen once in a while. Everything that Donald Trump says here as far as going to heaven or his chances, I agree. Listen to this.
You had talked a couple of weeks ago, you were doing an interview, and you talked about how you hope to end the war in Ukraine because it might help you get into heaven. How does this help? Does this help?
You know me. Thank you. I don't think there's anything going to get me in heaven. I think I'm not going to be heaven bound. I might be in heaven right now as we fly an Air Force One. I'm not sure I'm going to be able to make heaven.
I can't believe I'm going to say this, Mr. President. I agree with you. I'm wondering why anybody would disagree with you. Think about it. A liable abuser, dozens of women that have accused him of abuse, including his ex-wife, in court documents. A guy who was sued thousands of times, discrimination lawsuits. He had to pay up because he didn't want black people living in his buildings in New York City. A guy who's attacked Gold Star families. He's attacked POWs. He had unprotected sex with a porn star a week after Barron was born. A guy that has nicknames for people that he disagrees with. A guy that God knows how many contracts he hasn't paid off. A terrible father, a terrible husband. Why would anybody disagree with him? I agree with you, Mr. President, for once. I do not believe you're going to heaven. I believe you're going to a place that's going to be very hot. I do believe that. So thank you, Mr. President, for once in your life telling the truth. I do appreciate that. A moment of clarity, ladies and gentlemen. But it is interesting because I haven't stopped talking about the government shutdown, by the way. I don't want you guys to think just because we opened the show talking about Israel that I've forgotten the fact that there are brave men and women in uniform and there are people working for the government all over the country that aren't getting paychecks right now. Trust me, I haven't forgotten about that. And I don't think Mike Johnson's forgotten about it either. So Mike Johnson is asked about all the layoffs. As you know, Donald Trump at the forefront of all these layoffs that have taken place over the course of the last week. Even if you don't follow the news carefully, you know that there have been a lot of layoffs, right? But that's what these right-wing turds do. When they're asked and put in a corner with a question, Mike Johnson plays dumb, and he claims, as the House Speaker, he doesn't know any of the specifics about these layoffs. Have a listen to this.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. We know the president moved forward with mass layoffs. So we are also learning there were significant cuts to staff at the special education services. Are you comfortable with those cuts?
I haven't seen the specifics of that, and I don't know. I do know that each of the cabinet secretaries were asked to assist OMB to determine what the most essential programs are and what the priorities are for the policies and all of that. And I've been so busy on all this, I've not had a chance to dig into the details of each division and how it's happened. I know that HHS, for example, has cut some programs, but they were effectively all agencies in a triage situation. Because remember, Chuck Schumer and the Democrats turned off the funding for all these things that everybody cares about. And so the executive branch, the Office of Management Budget, has to determine what are the most efficient and effective programs. It's a difficult task. It's not one that they relish. They don't want to do it. Listen to the president's own words and Russ Vought's own words and everybody who's involved. They want the government to be opened. They're begging Chuck Schumer and the Democrats. That's how to make all this stop. They want this to end immediately, and they wanted it to end before it started.
What a liar. Every single day this guy lies, the wholesome Christian that he is. First of all, if the government opens up immediately, what are 20 million Americans going to do when they lose their health care coverage and people lose their food stamps? What are hospitals going to do when undocumented immigrants show up in the ER and they need life-saving care? But you see, Mike Johnson doesn't want to talk about that. And then when he's asked about the president moving forward with all these mass layoffs, all these people that are going to lose their jobs, all of a sudden Mike Johnson doesn't know anything about it. You freaking lying scumbag, you. Speaking of scumbags, what about Sean Duffy? It is interesting because a few months ago at these No Kings protests, J.D. Vance described them as a bunch of old fogies, right? A bunch of old hippies. But now we have these No Kings protests that are going to be happening across the country on October 18th. And now all of a sudden a guy like a Sean Duffy, who can't even get employees in the air traffic controller rooms because he's incompetent, is now making the case that all these people that are going to be at these protests, and by the way, I'm going to be one of them in Washington, D.C., he's claiming that we're all getting paid. Have a listen to this.
But again, the No Kings protest, Maria, really frustrating. I mean, this is part of Antifa, paid protesters. It begs the question, who's funding it? But yeah, Democrats want to wait for a big rally of a No Kings protest, when the bottom line is, who's running the show in the Senate? Chuck Schumer's not running the show. The No Kings protesters or organizers are running the show. Is AOC threatening a primary against Chuck Schumer? Is she running the show? But you need a strong leader in the Senate to take control and make decisions. And Chuck Schumer's blowing in the breeze. He has no power, no authority, because he's given it up to his primary opponent, potentially in AOC, or to the No Kings protest organizers, and it's shameful.
Interesting. I have a message for Sean Duffy. I happen to know a lot of people that are going to these protests on the 18th. None of them are getting paid. I'm going to the protest in Washington, D.C. this Saturday. I'm not getting paid. Geez, I wish somebody would pay me. I'm not getting paid. There are people all over this country that care about our democracy that are very angry at what the Trump administration is doing with these agents all over the country, basically kidnapping people. There's a lot of people in this country that are concerned. I would ask Sean Duffy, do you have any proof that people are getting paid going to these protests? Can you provide us the evidence? But you see, when they do these interviews on Fox Noise, they don't get questioned. That would be my first question to Mr. Duffy. Who is funding this? Do you have any evidence that anybody's getting paid to go to any of these protests? Who? Give me some names. Tell me, where's your evidence, you right-wing buffoon turd, you? He doesn't have any. But you see, if there's a plane crash, or God forbid, two planes collide with each other, the first thing Sean Duffy will do what any other MAGA racist would do, including Donald Trump, is they'll blame it on DEI hires. It's something that Charlie Kirk did. It's something that far-right white people do. It's despicable. It's disgusting. And Sean Duffy is an embarrassment to the country. Speaking of embarrassments, let's talk a little bit about J.D. Vance. Yes. He likes his couches, ladies and gentlemen. So it's been reported, and by the way, George Stephanopoulos, I thought, did a great job in interviewing J.D. Vance over the weekend. You got to give credit where credit is due, and I thought he did a really good job, and I'll get to that, and I'll explain why. But there have been reports that have been circulating that several members of the Trump administration have similar questions about their mortgages, like Letitia James. And those reports are pretty accurate. People that have done far worse, allegedly, than anything Letitia James has ever done. And I don't even know if Letitia James broke the law or not. She probably didn't. So these are very, very specific questions. and how every right-winger answers is the way J.D. Vance answers this question. Oh, that's just left-wing stuff. That's nonsense. Have a listen to this.
Ask you, as we saw the indictment this week of Letitia James on questions of mortgage fraud. Also, Lisa Cook has been accused by the Trump administration of committing mortgage fraud as well. The journalism outlet ProPublica has actually published a story, and I want to show it up on the screen right now, that says that several members of the Trump administration have faced similar questions. Labor Secretary Lori Chavez DeRemer entered into 2 primary residence mortgages in quick succession. Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy has primary residence mortgages in New Jersey and Washington, D.C. Lee Zeldin, the Environmental Protection Agency administrator, has 1 primary residence mortgage in Long Island and another in Washington, D.C. How do you respond to critics who say that the Trump administration is engaging in a double standard here?
Well, I'd say 2 things, George. First of all, ProPublica is basically a left-wing blog. I'm not shocked that you found a left-wing blog that can attack members of the Trump administration.
Yeah. It's a left-wing organization, so it can't be true. Well, guess what? It is. There are people in Donald Trump's administration right now that have far more shady dealings with mortgages in other states than anything Letitia James has ever done. And J.D. Vance's response to that is not that it's not true, but that a left-wing organization allegedly put that story out. That's his defense. Absolutely and positively absurd. But that's what these right-wingers do. When you catch them on their right-wing hypocrisy and their nonsense, they'll just say, oh, that's left-wing stuff. That's nonsense, including Tom Homan. Now, I don't always agree with George Stephanopoulos, but I thought he did a phenomenal job in this interview. So, George Stephanopoulos, and I can play the whole 4-minute clip, but basically, in a nutshell, he asks J.D. Vance, what about the $50,000 that Tom Homan accepted in a bribe that is on audio? Did he or did he not accept this bribe? Where's the money? It's just asking a very basic question, the same types of questions that were asked to Pam Bondi where they got no answers. Will you release the video? Where is the money? Did he accept this money? Very poignant questions, right? That deserve answers for the American people. And J.D. Vance accuses Stephanopoulos of insinuating that Tom Homan is guilty and not answering the question. And I thought the way George Stephanopoulos responded to this was absolutely superb and perfect. Have a listen to this.
George, I saw media reports that Tom Homan accepted a bribe. There's no evidence of that. And here's, George, why fewer and fewer people watch your program and why you're losing credibility. Because you're talking for now 5 minutes with the Vice President of the United States about this story regarding Tom Homan, a story that I've read about, but I don't even know the video that you're talking about. Meanwhile, low-income women can't get food because the Democrats and Chuck Schumer have shut down the government. Right now, we're trying to figure out how to pay our troops because Chuck Schumer has shut down the government. You are focused on a bogus story. You're insinuating criminal wrongdoing against a guy who has done nothing wrong instead of focusing on the fact that our country is struggling because our government's shut down. Let's talk about the real issues, George. I think the American people would benefit much more from that than from you going down some weird left-wing rabbit hole where the facts clearly show that Tom Homan didn't engage in any criminal wrongdoing.
It's not a weird left-wing rabbit hole. I didn't insinuate anything. I asked you whether Tom Homan accepted $50,000, as was heard on an audio tape recorded by the FBI in September 2024, and you did not answer the question. Thank you for your time this morning.
Well, George, I said that I don't.
Up next, we'll be right back.
I love the way they just cut him off. You right-wing turd, you, J.D. Vance, you pathetic weasel. You did not answer the question. The answer was yes or no. Did you have any information? Do you believe that Tom Homan accepted this bribe? Yes or no? Would not answer the question. I wonder why that is. Why does J.D. Vance not want to talk about this? For the same reason that Donald Trump doesn't want to talk about the Epstein files. Release the video, release the Epstein files. They will not do that. Think to yourself why. Think to yourself why for a moment they won't do that. A-plus job, George Stephanopoulos, A-plus job. That's the way journalists should question these right-wing turds that lie every single day. That is a lesson to all of you. Do not let them get away with their BS. Do not let them get away with it. That's what George Stephanopoulos did with the lies being put forth. Oh, and J.D. Vance doesn't know anything about this, right? Plays dumb. I haven't seen the video. I don't know anything about this. Yeah, okay. Well, guess what? There is a video. People have already heard the audio, and it's of Tom Homan accepting a $50,000 bribe, and nobody seems to know where the money went. Where did it go? Geez, I wonder where that went. Where did it go? I just wonder. Where did it go, ladies and gentlemen? Where did it go? I think it's a very fair question to ask. I think it's very fair. So we're going to open up the phone lines now at 702-221-7283. And again, that number, if you would like to be a part of the conversation, that number is 702-221-7283. Again, that number, 702-221-SAVE. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you want to be a part of the conversation. We're talking about a number of different things here today. And if you're just joining us, obviously, we're talking about what has taken place in Israel. I think it's a great thing that the hostages sent home to their families. Obviously, some of them are in critical condition. They need the health care that they need. They're in the hospitals, some of them in critical, so we wish them the best. Obviously, that's a good thing. But Donald Trump is lying to the American people. First of all, he's saying that the war is over. We know that that's not true. Hamas still has their weaponry, and they still are in power in parts of Gaza. As long as that continues, the war is still going. And that's why Benjamin Netanyahu refuses to say that the war is over as well, because it's not. Donald Trump is lying to the American people. So we're talking a little bit about that. Am I wrong? Do you think that Donald Trump deserves credit for this? All the hostages that Joe Biden negotiated with his administration, and Donald Trump not only refused to give them credit, but also took credit, but yet we should be giving Donald Trump credit for this? It's absurd. It's ridiculous. And what did you think about the way George Stephanopoulos handled J.D. Vance, another lying weasel? Number to call, 702-221-7283. And again, the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation, that number is 702-221-7283 if you would like to be a part of the conversation, 702-221-SAVE. Let's start off with Scott. Scott is first up on PTL. Hey, Scott, what's going on?
Hey, I have two quick little rants for you. I hope you had a good weekend.
I did.
One is, I'm Italian, and I could give a damn about Columbus. This is supposedly Columbus Day. We're actually named after Amerigo Vespucci, not Columbus. So, you know, I side with the natives. Also, I heard on Nevada Public Radio that Trump cut the budget for special education, and I'm a grateful recipient in New York City of special education. I'm not ashamed of that. It helped me out, and when I was 5 to 18, I was in a residence from 5 to 10, and then from 10 to 18, I went to a special ed school where they helped me out. I had a teacher, an assistant teacher, and a grandma. In my classroom, we had about 15 people. So it really enrages me that he continues to cut for people that need the most. And I just wanted to put that out there real quick. And as far as Israel goes, like, go eat a fat one, Donald. Anyway, diarrhea diaper, Donald. But
well, I appreciate that, and I do.
Yeah.
I appreciate the phone call, my friend. Thank you very much for the call.
Yeah, have a good one.
Thank you. You as well. I appreciate it. 702-221-7283. Again, if you're a MAGA supporter or not, you're welcome to call in. The number is 702-221-SAVE. 702-221-7283. Caractus is next up on PTL. Hello, Caractus.
Hello, Simon. How you doing, Brian?
Good.
I was looking at George Stephanopoulos yesterday.
Yep.
He shut down Shady Vance. Shady Vance was trying to get his last point in, and George Stephanopoulos just shut him down. That was so awesome.
I loved it. I enjoyed that as well. I agree with you. I thought it was great.
Yes, I did. I thought it was so good because he didn't even answer the question. He sit there and gave such a word salad. These guys are professionals at giving word salad.
They are. J.D. Vance is certainly one of them. It's interesting, right? They won't answer direct questions, yet these are the same people that start the conspiracies like they're eating the cats and the dogs. I mean, it's so despicable. Not only that Donald Trump is our president, but we have somebody like J.D. Vance as our vice president. Answer the damn question. You know, obviously they won't answer it. They won't answer it because, you know, they know what Tom Homan did. They know.
You know what he did? One more thing before I let you go, Brian.
Yeah.
I heard there's a country shut down. The country shut down, and this Nimrod is out of the country doing the most prevalent time this country needs here. And
Yeah.
he's out of the country.
Yeah, you're
I
right.
don't get it. People, and these freaking megas, they just don't get it. I don't know why they can't.
But
see the
they
picture.
claim,
They just got-
but they claim America first. They claim that Donald Trump is America first when he bails out other countries with their economies. And, you know, this is Donald Trump's foreign policy, America first. Qatar, let's give them a military Air Force base right here in the United States of America. I don't know. I mean, is that America first? I think not. I think not, ladies and gentlemen. I think not.
Can you believe he's actually going to let them have a base on American soil? You know, that's a Trojan horse, and people don't even see it.
I agree with you. And, you know, people need to see what Donald Trump and the damage he's doing, not just to this country, but giving a military base to a group of people that Donald Trump once said harbored terrorists, which, by the way, they do, Qatar. They do. 702-221-7283. Let's go to Steve. Steve is next up on PTL. Hey, Steve, what's going on?
Hi, Brian.
Hi.
I was watching Meet the Press yesterday, and I got pretty sick of. I couldn't watch more than 5 minutes of it because that woman made me wish that Tim Russert was still alive.
The late Tim Russert was a great man, and I actually was very lucky enough to meet him. I believe it was the 2024 Democrat National Convention in Boston. I think I got my year correct. I could be wrong on that. I was able to talk with Tim Russert for about 5 or 10 minutes, and I was able to interview him, and it was an honor to meet him. He's a big man, by the way. He was very tall. He was very nice. Yeah, he was very nice to me. And he had integrity.
Nobody bullshit him or anything.
Yeah, he had a lot of integrity. He was a man of integrity. And unfortunately, Welker and, you know, there are people that are in the media today that are just not anywhere near as skilled as Tim Russert was. And yeah, we do miss him. He was a good man. He was very fair.
Yeah, they need another one like him.
Yeah, I agree. They are out there, but they certainly don't have the popularity or the skill that Tim Russert did have. And may he rest in peace. Russert was a really, really good man, and I was honored that I even had the chance to meet him. 702-221-7283. If you're just joining us, and MAGA supporters are always welcome to join into this conversation. Do you think I should give Donald Trump credit for what has taken place in Israel? Now, I've given you my reasons why I say no. Maybe some of you disagree with me. I would love to hear why you think we should give Donald Trump credit, or I should give Donald Trump credit for these Israeli hostages being freed. I've given you my reasons why I don't think we should give him any credit at all. By the way, he's lying to the American people. He said that the war is over. It's not. If the war was over, Benjamin Netanyahu would be the first person to say it. The war is far from over. Why? It's very simple. This is a ceasefire. That's all it is. The war is not over. It's a ceasefire because Hamas still is in control most of Gaza. It's a ceasefire because Hamas still has their weapons. If the war was over, that wouldn't be the case. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation. And again, that number, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. All right, let's go to the next caller. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, let's go to Democrat MAGA, who's calling in next. Hello, Democrat MAGA. Democrat MAGA, go ahead.
Brian, it's me, the number one caller voted by all PTL listeners around the globe, calling in. So everyone.
Who did that vote? I didn't know we did a vote. Who voted on that?
They did.
Oh, they did.
Oh,
okay.
everybody knows.
I think
everybody knows.
I think
I'm
that's
the number
fake
one
news.
caller.
Okay, I think that's fake news, but that's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, I had to call because I clearly misunderstood or misheard what you said. You said, man, nobody gave Joe Biden credit for giving up the merchant of death, the international arms dealer who was tracked by the FBI for 5 years.
Okay, so that's not what I said. Let's have a conversation about that. First of all, that's not what I said. I said they didn't give Joe Biden credit for multiple things, including bringing back hostages. October 2023, Natalie, Renan, and Judith. I mentioned January of 2025, September 2023, December of 2022. Number two, were you the same person? Were you the same person that was complaining about Donald Trump calling into shows when he released 5,000 Taliban terrorists? 5,000. Were you calling into shows complaining about that? Listen, I don't like the fact that this guy was freed, but unfortunately, just like in this situation, where a lot of Palestinians and a lot of people, by the way, that have committed some horrible crimes, Benjamin Netanyahu was forced to release them. When you make these sorts of trades, or lack of a better term, there are going to be bad people on the other side that are going to be released. Obviously, you don't understand that, but that's okay. Since you're asking me about one individual, I'm asking you now. Were you outspoken about Donald Trump releasing 5,000 Taliban terrorists? Yes or no?
I don't know specifically.
Oh, how convenient. Well, guess what? Let me educate you, because when I try to educate you MAGA buffoons, you don't know anything about it. So now let me educate you, and let's see what you have to say. So you referred to one horrible, horrific human being, which I would agree with, who belongs behind bars, who Joe Biden had to negotiate and release him to get back 3 Americans who were jailed. That's what you are talking about. And you seem to have a big problem with that. Well, you see, my friend, 5,000 Taliban terrorists were released under Donald Trump. 5,000. So my question to you is, number one, why haven't you heard about that? And number two, can you find me a time in our history where either Donald Trump or Joe Biden or Barack Obama or George W. Bush or any of these people negotiated with terrorist organizations and didn't have to give up something in return? As we pod you back up on the show, can you please give me an example of that?
Well, no, but no.
Okay, good. Thank you.
You got to tell me though. Just tell me what we got in exchange, and I'll tell you if it's a good deal or a bad deal. What did we get in exchange?
I really don't care.
You don't know.
No. I do know.
Maybe we can get
bottom down again. When you ask me a question, you give me a chance to answer it. If you're going to interrupt me, then the conversation is over. By the way, you are either extremely ill-informed or uneducated or lying. That you don't know that Donald Trump helped release 5,000 Taliban terrorists. 5,000, you seem to know nothing about that, but Joe Biden makes a deal to get back 3 Americans, and you don't like the fact that he released 1 horrible terrorist, and you want to make that case, but then on the other side of things, you know nothing about Donald Trump releasing 5,000 terrorists. So I could care less about what your opinions are on that. Okay, well, I can don't well me.
Well,
don't well me. I'm asking you for a third time. Are you okay with Donald Trump? I'm asking for a 5th time. I'll ask 20 times until you answer it. Are you okay with Donald Trump, who released 5,000 Taliban terrorists? Yes or no? Don't tell me. No. Don't tell me. I don't know about it then. I don't know about it, you freaking clown. I don't know about it. It's so interesting when I bring up a retort to what you imbeciles say, and all of a sudden, I don't know anything about that. You sound like J.D. Vance. Oh, I don't know anything about Tom Homan. I don't know anything about that. Have you seen the violence on January 6th? Oh, I didn't see any of that video. I don't know anything about that, you turd. If you're going to call into this show, you better know what you're talking about. Let me explain to you something. There is no trade in American history where we got prisoners back, where everybody was happy with what we gave up. That's part of negotiating with really horrible, bad people. That's what Joe Biden did. That's what Joe Biden did, you dope. You imbecile. Did you give Joe Biden credit for any of the things that I mentioned?
I'm just asking.
I'm just asking. I'll answer like you did. I'll answer like you did. I'll answer like you did, you dope. I don't know anything about that. What do you think about that, you MAGA turd?
5,000 might have been the best trade ever. We don't know what we got in return.
Oh, okay. So what do you think would be a good thing that we got in return for releasing 5,000 Taliban terrorists? Give me an example.
Said, listen, we'll disarm 50
They didn't disarm.
Weapons.
That didn't happen. That didn't happen.
Know?
Because Donald Trump, because I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. You see, we do know what happened when Joe Biden negotiated and released the terrorist that you're talking about. He released a terrorist. We got 3 American citizens. We do know. The reason why we don't know what the Taliban gave us is because Donald Trump caved. That's why. They did not get rid of their artillery and weapons, because if they did, we would have known about it and Donald Trump would have been gloating about it. So you are wrong. So I find it very convenient. I find it very convenient, sir, that you call into the show and you have a problem with a trade that Joe Biden made, us getting 3 American citizens back, releasing 1 terrorist. But yet, you don't even know anything about the deal that Donald Trump made when he released.
But you don't
not
either.
5.
You don't excuse me, sir.
5,000 5,000. And you're trying to make the excuse, maybe we got something in return. Listen, you're a fool. You're a fool. Okay.
You thought we gave them just
You're an
away for
Hey,
nothing.
by the way,
I'll
is the
just
war
take it.
over? Is the war over between
Is
Hamas
the war
and Israel?
over in
Yes, the war
Iran
over.
that you said we're going to have?
I
How's
asked you a
the war in
question.
Iran
Don't
going?
answer a
You
question.
said when we
Don't
bombed
answer a
them-
question. Pot him down again. You see, sir, the way that this works is I ask a question and you answer it. You don't answer a question with a question, you fool. I'm asking you a very specific question now, since we're talking about deals and you're a Donald Trump supporter. Sir, I need you to pay attention now, okay? Don't answer the question with a question, otherwise the conversation is over. It's not much of a conversation anyway, because you're a moron. We've established that. Please tell me whether the war is over or not right now. Is it over? Because Donald Trump, your Sir Turd Orange leader, said it was over. So now I'm asking you your opinion, sir, since you're such a smart guy. Is the war over in the Middle East? Is it over? Is it over? Yes or no? Is it over?
Announced it, yes,
Is the war over?
There's no more fighting.
Is the war over? Is the war over? Yes or no?
Since they announced
Is the war over? Yes or no?
agreement,
Is the
yes.
war over? Yes or
Yes.
no? Okay, well then you're a complete
100%.
idiot. So Hamas hasn't been disarmed. If the war was over, why would an evil terrorist organization still have weapons? If the war was over, why isn't Benjamin Netanyahu saying the war is over? Don't get me wrong. I'm sure you know much more than he does because you sound like such an educated man. Why isn't the prime minister of Israel saying the war is over? And why is it that Hamas is still in control of Gaza? Please explain that to me, sir, since you're so intelligent. Go ahead.
It's been 2 days.
It's been 2
what do you
days.
want?
Okay, so if
The
it's
war's
only
been over
okay,
for
so
2 days.
so first of all, the war is not over. As I repeat once again, because you're an imbecile, I'll repeat it again. Hamas still has their weapons. That means the enemy still has all their weapons, and they still are in control of parts of Gaza. That means the war is not over. And if your excuse is it's only been 2 days, then maybe the president of the United States shouldn't say the war is over when it's only been 2 days. You're making the point for me, you imbecile. Can you make one valid point in this whole conversation? You just get dumber and dumber by the second, sir. You really do.
Again,
Again.
This master class in my debate.
Yeah, okay. Here's a master class. Here's the master class on how to hang up on the master debater moron that you are. You say the war is over. You say the war is done. The war's over when the enemy in Hamas still has all their weapons and they're still in control parts of Gaza. You complain to me about a Joe Biden deal that he made to get 3 Americans back here in this country and gave up, yes, 1 bad terrorist. That's the deal that had to be made. You have a huge problem with that. But yet when Donald Trump releases 5,000 Taliban terrorists, not only do you not know anything about it, but you're trying to make excuses saying maybe it was worth it. But we get 3 Americans back and we release 1 terrorist. You have a huge problem with what Joe Biden did, but 5,000 Taliban terrorists, I don't know anything about it. You're a freaking moron. Go watch your Newsmax, okay? And go fly a kite, you jerk. 702-221-7283, the number to call. Let's go to Herb. Herb is next on PTL. Hello, Herb.
Hey, Brian, how you doing today, buddy? Let me ask you one question. I don't want to.
Are you going to hang up?
Nothing else. I just want you to answer.
If you don't hang up, if you don't hang up, I will. If you don't hang up, I will.
Well, you hung up on me the last 2 times.
Not true. Not true. Not true. That's 100% false. That's a lie.
Brian,
Go ahead,
you
Herb.
hung up on me.
I'm not hanging up on you, Herb. Ask your stupid question. Go ahead.
Okay, here's my question. Are we still at war with Iran? Because you said
Sure, I'll
we
answer that. Sure, I'll gladly answer that question. So Donald Trump claimed, and the Trump administration claimed, that we were at war with Iran before the bombing because, and so did Benjamin Netanyahu, because they were furthering their nuclear capabilities, not according to our own intelligence, but according to Israeli intelligence. Our own intelligence told us, based on the report 24 hours later after the bombing, that we only set back Iran 2 to 3 months. So if, according to the Trump administration, we were at war with Iran before the bombing, which multiple members of the Trump administration said, if we only, based on our own intelligence, set back the Iranian government with their nuclear capabilities 2 to 3 months, please explain to me how we're not in war now.
Brian, what did the United Nations Atomic Commission say?
Why are you not answering my question? I'm asking you a very specific question.
What was their report? What was their report?
What was our report? What was our report? What was our report? There doesn't have to be casualties to be labeled at war with another foreign country. So that is a stupid comment on your part. There doesn't have to be casualties, Herb. I'm answering you to what you just said. Herb,
Brian,
then why would you bring that up? Okay, hold on, Herb. I'm asking you a question now because I answered yours respectfully. I'd like you to answer mine now. And I'm going to repeat it.
Brian,
I'm going to repeat it once again. Herb, the way this works is you can disagree with me and I can disagree with you. You asked me a question. I answered it. Herb, I'm going to let you talk. If you answer my question, I answered yours. Okay, thank you. I'll repeat it again, but this time I would appreciate it if you can listen to my question. And as long as you attempt to answer it, I will give you the opportunity. My question, thank you. I will do what I want to do because it's my show and not yours. The question is, before the bombing, members of Trump's administration claimed that we were at war with Iran and so was Israel. Israel's intelligence told our intelligence that they had weapons of war that they were fulfilling. We went in there, and then our own report, America's report, 24 hours after this bombing, in that report said we set them back maybe 2 to 3 months. So my question to you stands as, how are we not at war with them now when they claimed we were at war with them before the bombing, and after the bombing, our own intelligence said we set them back 2 to 3 months? How does that mean we're not at war now? Please answer.
Brian, okay, I'm going to answer your question. Now listen, without you talking. We were at war, and the reason why they said we were at war is because we were fighting so many of their proxies.
That's not true.
The Houthis.
That's not true. That's not true.
That's why we were at war with Iran.
That's not true. That's not true. No, that's not true. And I'm going to correct you on that. Here's what Benjamin.
Okay. But let me say
no, it's not okay because you just said something that is not factually accurate. I will let you continue, but I'm going to interject, as I do with anybody who says something that is not factually accurate. Based on the Israeli intelligence and Donald Trump, what he said at a podium, the reason why we were at war with Iran, which we still are now, is because they claimed that Iran had furthered their nuclear capabilities. It had nothing to do with the Houthis or whatever else you mentioned. That is not factually accurate. We bombed their nuclear facilities. If what you said was true, how would we be hurting the Houthis by bombing an alleged nuclear facility? What you're saying makes absolutely no sense. It makes 0 sense, Herb, what you are saying. 0.
Brian, did Iran have a bunch of proxies around the world?
That is not the question. The question is...
I'm asking you. Answer the question.
And that is not relevant. And that is not relevant to this conversation. What we're talking about is being at war. No, we're not. They bombed an alleged nuclear facility. Don't Brian me. They bombed an alleged nuclear facility. Let me ask you. Hey, Herb. Hey, Herb. Let me ask you a question. Hey, Herb. Hey, Herb. Hey, Herb. Hey, Herb. I don't beg. You know what? Here's how much I'm begging for my producer now to hang up on you. I'll take responsibility for this one. I don't beg for anything. Have a nice day, you turd. What a turd. Oh, my God. That guy must be the dumbest of all callers. He's the dumbest of all PTL callers, ladies and gentlemen. He really is. So he's claiming that we're not at war with Iran before the bombing, okay? Literally, right before the bombing, Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu made public statements claiming that we were at war with Iran because they had furthered their nuclear capabilities. At least that's what Israel said, because Benjamin Netanyahu wanted us to hurt Iran. So if we were at war then, how could we be at war, not at war now? See, notice how Herb talks about the Houthis and he doesn't want to answer the question because Herb is your typical ill-informed mega moron. That's why. Herb, I did hang up on you this time. And the reason why I did is because you claim that I beg for people like you to call into this show. Luckily, Herb, I have a very large audience with mostly very informed, intelligent people, the opposite of you. I thank them for listening to this program, and never would I beg some moron with a 10 IQ like you to ever call into this show. But you're welcome to call back anytime you'd like, Herb. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. Again, 702-221-SAVE is the number to call. Let's go to Jennifer. Jennifer is next up on PTL. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing good. What's up? What's on your mind?
So I listen to you a lot, and this topic has me really, riled up because I am a Jewish American. I'm Antifa, and I am an anti-Zionist. And I just want to say what happened today is all political theater. This is Donald Trump stroking his ego. And I think that what he's not willing to do is end the occupation of Gaza and let the Palestinian people have their land. That's the only way there will ever be peace. The Palestinians deserve their land, and Israel needs to end the occupation. And it's not only me and other people that are saying that, it's also the liberals of the Knesset. We've done this before. This is never going to end until the occupation ends. And I just think that Trump needs to come to that realization.
I don't necessarily disagree with you with the political theater comments and what you made. I will say, I think you would probably agree with me, regardless of that. It's still a good thing to get these hostages, obviously, to come home to their families. That's obviously a good thing. I do believe that it is political theater. I don't disagree with you there. And at the same time, I also agree these people that are claiming that the war is over are complete imbeciles, okay? They're complete imbeciles. Hamas is still in control of much of Gaza. They haven't taken away their weapons. So for anybody like Donald Trump or any of these idiots on the far right that say that the war is over, it couldn't be further from the truth. I agree with you.
Yeah, I just think that what Donald Trump thinks is that these people are just going to go, oh, it was a good fight, and now we'll just go ahead and give back to the occupation. You know, it's never going to happen. These are very proud, loyal people to their land and their people. And as much as I detest Hamas, the Palestinian people are not all Hamas, and that needs to be recognized, and they deserve their land.
So I agree with you that not all the Palestinian people are bad people. Obviously, I agree with that. However, I will say this. While I don't want an innocent person losing their life, whether it be an innocent child in Gaza, a Palestinian child, or an Israeli child, they're both equally as horrible. I will say this. You are dealing with a lot of people in Palestine who will not call out Hamas. They do not believe Israel should exist. And a lot of these people seem to support Hamas. I disavow those people. I don't want them to be injured or hurt. But it's very difficult having a good faith conversation with somebody like that, my dear, who doesn't think that Israel should exist. While I am not a Benjamin Netanyahu fan, and I believe the Israeli government are corrupt, and I do believe Benjamin Netanyahu has committed war crimes, it's very difficult to have a conversation with someone who is Palestinian who doesn't think Israel should exist either. You have to meet somewhere in the middle, and that's the biggest issue. Wow, do we have Herb calling back? You know, usually I don't allow people to call back that make such stupid statements on the air, but I think I'm going to make an exception. Herb, I'm going to give you an opportunity to make your case. Go right ahead. I usually don't do this.
Ryan?
Yes, Herb.
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and again and again and expecting a different result. This is the reason why I am insane. Because I like it when you own me, Brian. I like it when you call me out on my BS. I like the fact that 95% of other black people don't like me. I'm cool with that. The reason why I'm cool with that, Brian, is because I like you. I have a poster of you on my wall.
I believe that. Yeah,
I do.
I do believe that.
This is the highlight of my day, Brian. I need you to understand me, please.
I'm trying.
I need you to understand that.
Herb, can I ask you a personal question?
You, there is no me.
Herb, can I ask you a personal question?
Sure, Brian.
And be honest with me, because I know you're a very honest man. How many times would you say you pleasure yourself to my picture at night?
I'd say, since I'm a gambling man, I would say the over-under is about 6 times a day.
Wow, I got to tell you, I wish I had your sex drive, Herb. That's very very impressive.
I mean, I don't, Brian, I'm telling you, I'm being honest with you.
Listen, I didn't admire you for anything until now. I didn't admire you anything until now. You're telling me you're firing 6 bullets a day? That's impressive.
I need you to understand, Brian. I need you to understand. Otherwise, a normal person wouldn't like to call in a radio station that he clearly disagreed with all the time to get owned. But I have this twisted fantasy about you just handling me and just always.
That's off-putting. I don't want to handle you,
I
Herb.
can't do this.
I don't want to handle you,
I can't do
Herb.
this anymore. Y'all know who this is. This is Brian. For y'all wondering in the chat, this is Brian.
That's very funny. Brian, that was very funny. You give Herb give Herb way too much credit. You're giving him the I guess the sex drive of like an 18-year-old. I don't know if I'd give him that much credit.
Listen, Brian, I'm gonna tell you something. I'm gonna tell you something that you probably didn't know about me.
Okay.
And we all, some of us have a past, and some of us have done things that we're, not really proud of. We've made mistakes here and there. But like dear leader, Brian, I'm a convicted felon. I made some mistakes in the past when I was in the Army. I was still in, and I made a mistake and dealt with the wrong person, but I rectified that mistake.
Can I ask you
I've been on the right track for like 20 years.
Brian, if you don't mind me asking, are you an African-American male?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
I am.
There's a reason why I asked that. See, if somebody like you commits a felony that looks like you, the MAGA right will say, throw them in jail and lock away the key. But you see, if a white person that happens to be on the far right commits a heinous crime, they'll talk about mental illness and how that person needs to be rehabilitated. Don't you find that quite interesting?
I mean, it's very simple, Brian. I mean, I don't know. I mean, no offense to any, you or any of my other friends on PTL. No offense, but the answer is really simple. These people are racist, and they're not trying to hide their racism.
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about.
Donald Trump don't like people like me.
Are you telling me that our Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, because he has a tattoo on his body that says 100% white, you're claiming that he might be racist? What a ridiculous thing to say.
You don't say. I'm going to tell you something, being born and raised here in Texas. I'm going to tell you something. And I forget, are you aware who Ann Johnson is?
Name sounds familiar.
Just like James Tallarico, she's one of the state representatives here in Texas.
Gotcha. Yep.
She has a video that went viral about white supremacy and privilege and all that. And because she comes from privilege or whatever, but she broke it down really good. People here in Texas, they're nice. They'll act nice to you in your face. But see, there's a gentlemanly racism here. See, I'm not just going to flat out call you the N-word to your face. I'm always going to say, yes, sir, no, sir. How you doing, sir? Oh, it's good to meet you. Oh, God bless you. Yada, 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 yada. They're not going to be as adamant with it, say, like as in a place like Mississippi or Arkansas or Tennessee or Alabama, something like that. They're gentlemen with it down here. But you can best believe these people that support Donald Trump and all these other white supremacist racists, they don't like people like me and her. Unfortunately, you got some idiots like her that will, go for it and be like, oh, you know what? You might have something going with it. He's a Sambo. The black people know what that's about. He's a Sambo.
Well, Brian, I appreciate your call, and I always love your Herb impersonation. We got to get Herb on back to back. Actually, we got to get Herb and Herb on at the same time. That would be a very entertaining conversation. Thank you very much for the call, Brian. I appreciate you. The number to call, by the way, if you would like to be a part of the show, if you are a true MAGA supporter, is 702-221-7283. I hope that wasn't like begging. I hope I wasn't begging by saying if you are a Trump supporter, MAGA supporter, like a Herb, you're welcome to call in and state your case. 702-221-SAVE is the number to call. Let's go to Julie. Julie is next up on PTL. What's up, Julie?
Hey, Brian. Wasn't going to call it first, but then Herb decided to be, Herb, you're a complete dum-dum. I'd say the full thing,
Yeah,
but
I like
don't want to.
dum-dums. I like dum-dums. Those are the lollipops. I actually ate one of those earlier today. It was really good.
But you know where I'm going.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to say the whole cuss word.
I do. I understand.
And then there was a guy in the comments earlier that was going nuts. Chuck knows about it. If that dude is still listening, hey, you don't know my situation. You don't know what other situations are.
But those are some of my biggest fans. Those are some of my biggest fans. Those that are so far to the right and mentally ill that they literally are obsessed with me, and they tweet about me and they talk about me every day. But they're so stupid they don't even know they help my engagement. They're so dumb. So I hope they continue to do what they do because it doesn't bother me one bit.
Well, I go after them, but they go after me. I'm not afraid to stand up for myself.
Well, certainly,
for
I
myself.
certainly I don't condone violence. There's one thing, like a keyboard warrior that says,
I mean, talk.
Those are the same people that won't even call into the show. They're cowards.
I'm sure that one person is a coward.
Yeah, many of them are
scared.
Many of them are. Many of them are. They can't hold a conversation. And then when you fact check them, like Will Chamberlain, I did that with him, not to be confused with Wilt Chamberlain, by the way. Will Chamberlain, he refused to come back on the show. Over the weekend, he said because he didn't agree with Mehdi Hassan's opinions on Israel, he said that Mehdi Hassan should be deported. I responded and I said, why don't you come on the show and tell me why you think Mehdi Hassan should be deported as an American citizen? Why do you think he should be deported? And he said, no, I'm not coming on. Of course not, because they can't defend their racism and bigotry. And they'll go on these right-wing shows like Jack Posobiec show and others. They'll go on these shows that will coddle them and they can say whatever they want. But if you do a show like this, you can't say whatever you want without being challenged. These MAGA idiots on the far right think that when they are challenged with their BS, it's an attack. It's not an attack unless you become personal with me. They can't be challenged because they're not used to it, because they live in their right-wing echo chamber where nobody challenges them. And then I challenge somebody like Will Chamberlain and he refuses to come back on. That's what they do. They are all cowards who are in their right-wing echo chamber listening to Mark Levin and Fox News and OAN and Newsmax. The second somebody challenges them, they see it as some sort of personal attack because they're not smart enough to actually have a debate. Or you'll have idiots that call into this show that'll say, I don't like that deal that Joe Biden did, getting back 3 American citizens for that one terrorist he let go. And then when I bring up, did you have a problem with 5,000 Taliban terrorists that Donald Trump released? Oh, I don't know anything about that. How can you even have a conversation with people like this? They're so ill-informed, they're so biased, and they're so stupid. 702-221-SAVE, 702-221-7283 is the number to call. If you would like to be a part of the conversation, keep in mind, please lower your radios when we go to you. Let's go to Terry. Terry is next up on PTL. Hello, Terry. Please lower your radio if you can.
Please lower your radio.
Terry?
Let's go to Terry.
Terry, are you there?
I am, Brian. Good afternoon. How are you?
Good. What's on your mind today?
First of all, Sean Duffy, please show me the pay stubs. I can tell you right now, I have been to every single protest in my state and in my area, actually, and have written and delivered speeches there, and I never received a paycheck. So I just wanted to clear that up. And the other thing is, I just want to give a shout out to you, Brian, and to all the Americans who will be protesting this Saturday. Just remember, if you have opposition there, that you encounter, don't take the bait, and definitely don't escalate with them, because you don't want to give Trump the opportunity to unleash the U.S. military on the groups that are protesting, and just saying, thank you all for your courage to show up, stand up, and speak out. So,
amen. And you're right.
Good luck with your
thank you.
with your debate, Brian. Too.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you so much for the phone call. And for those, since I'm in such a good mood today, I'm in such a friendly mood today, I'm going to give out another pair of tickets. So if anybody out there is going to be in the Washington, D.C. area this Saturday, I will be there for the Culture War podcast. I will be up on a stage Saturday afternoon with Tim Pool, Myron Gaines, and Alex Stein. I will be the only anti-Trumper up there, but that's okay. I'm a big boy. I can take care of myself. I'm going to be flying out to D.C. this week, and the event is Saturday. So if you would like a pair of free tickets and you promise that you will be in D.C. and will be able to make the show, because obviously we don't want to give tickets away to somebody that can't make the show. You'll be able to meet me and meet everybody else on the panel if you would like to. I don't know. That's up to you. Give us a call now at 702-221-7283 if you'd like a pair of tickets. And, of course, if you'd like to come on the show right now is a good time to call in. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you would like to be a part of the conversation and if you'd like a pair of tickets to go to the Culture War podcast in Washington, D.C. Let's go to Casey. Casey is next up on PTL. Hello, Casey.
Hey, Brian, long time. I hope you make us proud, buddy. I'm rooting for you, man.
Thank you.
I I got to be honest with you, I don't know how you do it, man, because I gave up on debating conservatives or MAGAs or deplorables a long time ago. I just feel like they live in their own bubble, and they're going to live in their own reality, and it really accomplishes nothing. But talking about the Netanyahu, I'm going to give you. You're a smart man. You already know this, but the reason why we don't applaud Donald Josephine Trump for this, for this deal, is that first off, we are complicit of financially as well as giving arms to Israelis. Okay, it's not that I'm Jewish, right? I support Israel. I do not support Netanyahu. He's a war criminal. We supported a war criminal. Okay, Netanyahu, the Israelis, have better intelligence than the U.S. So 2 years ago, when this did happen with this bombing, Netanyahu had the intelligence. A year, months, days, and weeks leading up to that attack. He needed his Pearl Harbor to happen so he can have the green light to go into Gaza. Well, everybody after 2 years figured it all out that he was a complete fraud, okay, and he wanted to carry on this war, so he does not get charged for war crimes. The only way I would give a applaud to Donald Josephine Trump is if he made him stand trial for war crimes. Then I will approve Donald Josephine Trump for bringing that war criminal to have his day in court. Your thoughts?
So I agree with what you said about Benjamin Netanyahu. I've never been a big Benjamin Netanyahu fan, and I can also tell you that I do believe he is a war criminal. With that being said, I do think it's a good thing that I'm sure you would agree with me, these innocent people that were taken by Hamas, it's a great thing, obviously, that they've been returned home to their families. That's a wonderful thing, regardless of what we feel about the Israeli government. I would also say it's an absolute joke for anybody out there that thinks that this war is over. I did another right-wing podcast earlier today, and the host was making the claim that the war is over, which obviously is not true. The war is far from over. And yeah, I think it's very, very dangerous, to be quite frank with you. Very dangerous for anybody to make the case that the war is over, because we know that's not the case.
Well, the thing is, though, is that it's a spider web that we have. For the last 50 years since Reagan, we've caused a lot of this problem around the world. We're going to be friends with the good part of Pakistan. We're going to be not friends with the bad part of Pakistan, and it's like we give it every aspect where camel roams, all the weapons and all the weapons and all the arms and all the needs that they needed, tanks or whatever. Okay, and the same people that we gave this to are the ones that are going after Israel. How can we say we support Israel when we're given all of them and we've profited in the last 50 years? The military complex, everything. Can I ask you another question?
Why is it that Ukraine gets invaded by Russia? Tons of innocent people have lost their lives, and MAGA Republicans have a huge problem with us funding the war in Ukraine when we know it's not their fault, but yet they have no problem with us giving boatloads, an endless supply of money to Israel. Why is that?
Because the Democrats and Biden were Ukraine. Mm-hmm. So anything that's the Democrats are for, or the Biden, or anything that's not their version of conservatism, it's the boogeyman. Yeah, that's all it is. It's like, if Democrats all came out and said we love Jesus, they'd probably want to re-crucify Jesus. These people are absolute. It's scary because they can vote, they are armed to the gills, and we are in a civil war, sadly. And we will never, ever in our lifetime, my friend, see what America used to be. This is the turn of the guard. Unfortunately, we haven't hit bottom yet, Brian. We haven't hit bottom yet.
And they think that somebody who is anti-fascist, that is dressed up in a frog outfit, or somehow drag queens, are more of a threat to us than the other real threats in this country that we are facing. It's insanity what they think is the real threat to us Americans.
Because Trump has turned this into our country into a WWE episode, a reality TV show. Yeah. They want the dysfunction. They love it. We're owning the libs. It's these people whether it was Charlie Kirk or any of it. I mean, it's just they're like cockroaches. Unfortunately, I didn't want to see Charlie Kirk get killed, but I do understand why he got killed. He swatted the hornet's nest and got stung. Plain and simple.
Yeah, obviously, as you would agree with me, violence is never the answer, and what happened was horrible, and we certainly, and I know you're not condoning it. At the same time, as I've said time and time again, and it's getting, quite frankly, mentally exhausting, I will never celebrate the life of Charlie Kirk. Doesn't mean I'm celebrating what happened to him. I will never celebrate the life of a horrible human being. Charlie Kirk was a horrible human being. I've played some of the audio of the things that he said and why I feel the way I feel. I don't care if people don't like that. I will never celebrate the life of Charlie Kirk. He was a despicable human being. And if people want to say, oh, Brian, he was a good husband and a good father doesn't say despicable things that are bigoted in nature on a daily basis. A good father doesn't celebrate the bludgeoning and the hammer attack of Paul Pelosi. A good person doesn't attack black people and minorities constantly. A good person doesn't say misogynist things on a regular basis. I'm sorry, but I refuse to celebrate the life of Charlie Kirk. And if any of you out there don't like it, you can go fly a kite, because I really don't care. I didn't celebrate the life of Rush Limbaugh. I will not celebrate the life of Charlie Kirk. I celebrate the life of what people that I think are decent human beings that actually help society and are decent people. Let's go to Paul. Paul is next up, calling in from the UK. What's up, Paul?
Hi there, Brian. I just wanted to talk very briefly about something that's going to get lost in the MAGA lunatic fog quickly, but I just want to mention it because it struck me because I'm a mathematician. The other day, Donald Trump did his usual speech about how he's giving up to 1,000% discounts on drug prices, and nobody says a thing. Nobody says a word. But the bit that made me fall over laughing was he handed it over to Dr. Oz to do his little bit. And Dr. Oz confirmed with a straight face that on some lung medicine or whatever, the president had introduced a 650% discount. So Dr. Oz, who is not as brain-addled as the Fat Führer, obviously, he confirms. And what was he thinking when you say
1,500% discount on drugs? Does that mean that we can just go to our local pharmacy? We become millionaires, right?
You literally, all Americans have now become rich. Take drugs. That's the lesson here. Get your prescription up, because you don't have to work anymore. Because if you buy a drug for $100 and you get a 650% discount, they give you $550.
Wait, can I hear you say that again? Because you're right, by the way. With your wonderful UK accent, Americans getting drugs and becoming millionaires. I don't know. That was just really funny. If you can appease me, I don't know.
It's the truth. And nobody says anything, Brian. The press don't put. It should be a headline. The president is bleeding mad.
You know what you should do? You know what we should all do is. You know what we should all do? We should all go to the pharmacy and tell the pharmacist, hey, I know that these drugs that I'm taking, they cost $39, but Donald Trump said I get a 1,500% discount. So can you please pay me the money? And I don't need them this month. Can you just, can we cash in on that and see we should all do a hashtag. Become rich. We should all do the hashtag become rich. And we should all be putting out our videos telling the pharmacist, hey, I was told by the president that I get a 1,500% discount on this. So how much money do you owe me? And just see what the pharmacist says. We should all do that.
He repeats it. He doesn't say it once. He said it on about 4 different occasions now. And now we've got Dr. Oz debasing himself like a total twat, debasing himself and repeating it.
So correct me if I'm wrong. Let's do the math. Let's just say, hypothetically speaking, okay, that Pete Hegseth needed to take a blue pill. Let's just say one blue pill cost $1. Let's make the math really easy for my MAGA friends. Does that mean that if Pete Hegseth needed a Viagra pill for $1, that he would in turn get the pill and be paid $15, right? Because that's what a 1,500% rebate would be, right? Am I wrong on that? Is my math wrong there?
1,500%. Well, it's actually he'd actually get paid $14.
Oh, that's right. My math is a little off. Correct. Yeah. Yep.
It's a little off. It's obviously, in terms of discounts, the best you're going to get is 100%. Everybody knows that. That's the best, and that's free. 25%, it means you get it for 75% of the price.
Let me ask you something else. Do you think it's that his supporters are that stupid, or do you think he's that stupid? Like, what do you think it is, or a little bit of both?
Trump, he's really, I mean, this, saying it once, maybe you could put down to a slip, but saying it more than once, and really obviously saying it like he believes it, means he's got something wrong with him, isn't it?
Well, as George
There's no other question.
W. Bush once said, fool me once, fool me twice, fool me again, fool me once. I think that's what he said.
He's obviously got, he was never the sharpest tool in the shed 20 years ago. He wasn't the sharpest tool in the shed, but he could talk at least. Now he's got dementia.
Yeah.
Plus not being the sharpest tool in the shed. He's like a shovel without a head. He's as dumb as a rock. He is as thick as a brick.
Well, he is.
The guy is.
He is, and according to Stormy Daniels, he's not very thick either in certain places. I'll have to leave it at that. But I'm bummed. Hey, Paul, it's good to hear from you, my friend. I appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you a lot, Brian.
All right,
taking the call. Thank you.
Care.
Bye.
Numcheck reminded me that would be a term called girth. 702-221-7283 is the number to call. As everybody on their lunch break is about ready to vomit, let's go to Courtney. Courtney is next up on PTL. What's up, Courtney?
Hey, how are you doing?
Good. What's on your mind?
This craziness of all these people being pissed off that Trump didn't get the Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, the man is an adjudicated rapist, admitted serial sexual assaulter, coup staging racist who has waged war on the American people. Why would anyone think that he would deserve a Peace Prize?
For the same reason why they say that he's a hero and he's out for the American people and not himself. These people are very stupid. They're very ill-informed. They think because he doesn't take his $400,000 a year paycheck as president when he's made billions and billions and billions of dollars off of his presidency. They are in a cult. It's why I've called it a Klan cult. And if you don't think it's a Klan cult, just look at his rallies. Look at the people that support him. It's 99.9% white people that go to his rallies. It is a cult. And Donald Trump is the leader of this cult. And there's really nothing else that I can say other than the fact that many, not all, but many of the people that support Donald Trump are very ill-informed people. They're very uneducated people, and they believe everything and anything that this 34-count felon turd says.
Yeah, exactly. Because I just was on in the newspaper writing that, because that's insane. I mean, okay, this guy. First of all, like you said, the war in Gaza is not over. That there's a ceasefire right now is not the end to a war. And to say that he just deserves the Peace Prize over that is completely ridiculous.
It's saying that he deserves the Peace Prize is like saying he deserves every club championship he ever won. That's really what it comes down to me. The guy's a cheater on the golf course. He's a cheater in life. I've always said to people, the way you conduct yourself on the golf course is usually the way you live your life. For example, if you're honorable on the golf course, if you're honest, if you don't cheat on the golf course, if you treat other people with respect, then usually you're going to be a respectable, not all the time, but usually you'll be a respectable person, off the golf course. Like I think of Phil Mickelson, who is maybe not, he's not a cheater, but he's a scumbag, and he gambles on the golf course and he breaks the rules, and he's a scumbag off the golf course, right? And I think of Donald Trump, a guy who has been cheating on the golf course his entire life, and he's a cheater off the golf course as well. So that's how I feel about that.
Thank you, Brian.
All right. Thank you for the phone call. I appreciate it. 702-221-7283 is the number to call if you'd like to be a part of the conversation. Let's go to Michelle. Michelle is next up on PTL. Hi, Michelle. What's going on?
Yes, hi. So I'm calling because I know that I didn't vote for Donald Trump. I can't stand him. But the one thing that I do think that he did well was, bring the hostages home. Do you think that Kamala Harris would, if she was elected, would be able to do what she did today?
Yes. And the reason why I say yes is I could just go back to the, I think it would have happened with any president, by the way, Republican or Democrat, but I go back to Joe Biden when Kamala Harris was the vice president. Joe Biden was able to strike a deal to bring hostages back in October of 2023, 2 Israeli hostages that came home. And then I look at back in January of 2025. Listen, Kamala Harris was the vice president, where a ceasefire deal was brokered under the Biden administration, releasing more Israeli hostages. So, I mean, that were being held up in Gaza. So, yes, I absolutely believe that. And I think the country would be in a much better place. That would be an understatement than where it is right now if Kamala Harris had won the presidency. Absolutely.
Okay, I don't know if I agree with that, but I respect your opinion on that.
Well,
Though.
no, I'm interested to hear your
yeah.
opinion, though, Michelle. That's quite all right. Tell me why you disagree with me. Why do you think that Kamala Harris couldn't accomplish this?
I feel like she was too weak. Like she didn't. I feel like
And you
like
think-
you have to do with this power through strength. That's why they went to like.
And
with
what about
like
Donald
Hamas.
Trump? So you think Donald Trump is strong on foreign policy?
No, I don't think he is. I think the team around him is. I don't think he is. I think he just listens to
So
like.
what have they done that
whoever.
would lead you to believe that they're strong on foreign policy?
Oh, I think all the things that they have done around
What have they done?
Middle East, like
What
the
have
peace stuff that they have done.
What have they done? What peace
Well,
stuff?
they have talked. They brokered truces and deals. With,
No, there was a
with Hamas.
ceasefire.
They met with Hamas.
Okay,
in
but
person,
okay,
and I
so
don't think.
we can talk about right now, but just going back, I just want to be clear. There was a ceasefire. Israel broke the ceasefire within 24 hours. Now let's talk about right now. You're saying the people around Donald Trump are strong. It's been 2 days. Hamas has not given up their weapons. They are still in charge most of Gaza. I understand that it's a good thing that some hostages have come home. But Joe Biden did the exact same thing as far as hostages are concerned. So I'm trying to understand, and just, Michelle, it's okay to disagree, but I'm trying to understand why you think they're strong on foreign policy when the war in the Ukraine is stronger now than it was ever. They rolled out the red carpet for Vladimir Putin, got nothing in return, and they've coddled
Well, I guess
to
we'll
Vladimir
see what
Putin.
happens. I mean, I can be wrong, but I guess we'll see what happens, and then I guess.
Okay, well,
if
that's
I'm wrong,
fair.
then I'm wrong.
That's
but,
fair. Listen, I hope that the war is over. It's not over right now. Okay. Well, I appreciate the call, Michelle. I was trying to make my points to Michelle. I appreciate the call, Michelle. I just disagree with you. I don't think anybody in the Trump administration, anything they've done is strong. I don't think it's strong as far as treating human beings like garbage, not giving people the right to due process. I don't think it's strong to pardon a bunch of January 6th insurrectionists, some of whom beat police officers. I don't think it's strong to coddle Benjamin Netanyahu. I don't think it's strong to coddle to evil dictators like Vladimir Putin. I think that's the opposite of being the strong. I think that that's weak. So I respectfully disagree with you on that. And yes, time will tell to see if this deal works out. I hope it does. But everything would lead me to believe that it's not going to work out. And yes, I do believe that Kamala Harris would have done this and would have done more, certainly for the American people. I think what Donald Trump does every single day is the opposite of strength. It's weakness. He coddles to evil dictators, and he listens to everything that Benjamin Netanyahu tells him to do, including bombing Iran. And you go back to the days of George W. Bush, weapons of mass destruction. That was a lie. I think that's the opposite of strong. It's weak. Strong is what Barack Obama did, and he was able to negotiate with Iran without dropping bombs on them. Wow, the show is just about over, ladies and gentlemen. So quickly, I'll say this. There is a chance that Donald Trump might be joining us on the show. You're certainly not wanting to miss that one, I would hope. Leonard Cardinale will be joining us in studio tomorrow, my favorite co-host. So looking forward to Leonard joining us in studio. We are an independently owned radio show. We rely on all of you guys to help keep the lights on here. You're supporting independent media. What do you do to support what I do? Well, besides that icon, if you're watching on YouTube, you can use that. It goes to pushingthelimits.live. If you go to pushingthelimits.live, we do sell merchandise on there, PTL gear. We also have a button you could press there where you can make donations, $5, $10, $20 a month. Whatever you donate, we so greatly appreciate it, whatever you can afford. I appreciate you guys for joining us. If you don't follow me already, please follow me on YouTube at PTL Radio Show, my website, pushingthelimits.live. I love you guys, and we will see you tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Are you